I think I can safely say that most of us are stoked for Mario Party Superstars, as it looks like it's going to bring Mario Party back to its best roots. But for now, let's go back to the highest selling Mario Party game and rank all the minigames. I'll be counting all 80 of them. The 4 in Toad's Rec Room won't be included if you're curious. This list is based off how fun and replayable each minigame is. So with that, let's get her ranked. Add Raycon. I won't be ranking today's sponsor with the minigames since that wouldn't make sense, but this video wouldn't be possible without these fantastic earbuds. These everyday earbuds are great for listening to music when working due to their lightweight and comfort. Raycon offers their earbuds in a range of fun colors and patterns with no dangling wires or stems. The company was co-founded by Ray J, and celebrities like Snoop Dogg and Mike Tyson are obsessed with Raycons. They've been a daily part of my routine for a long time now, and I can't recommend them enough. They also come with a bunch of gel tips so you can find a fit just for you, a 32-hour battery life, a 45-day happiness guarantee, and they start at half the price of other premium audio brands. Go to buyraycon.com/Bandy to get 15% off your Raycon purchase. Thanks to Raycon for supporting the channel, but now let's actually get her ranked. 80. Rattle and Very clever play on words because Rumble goes It's too bad this minigame is incredibly boring, especially on multiple playthroughs. You have to use the Joy-Con's rumble to figure out which character is causing a racket on stage. You'll feel them all ahead of time and then have to remember what the rumble felt like. It gets challenging by the end, but the patterns are always the same, and the pacing is extremely slow and drab compared to most minigames. 79. Absent-Minded. This is very similar to Rattle and in which the patterns get way too easy after multiple plays. A bunch of pictures are scrambled on the screen, and it takes about 1 to 2 seconds to realize which character is missing. This is slightly more engaging with human players, but not by much. 78. Don't Wake Wiggler. Probably Super Mario Party's most infamous minigame. You get in line and pet the sleeping Wiggler. The more you pet him, the more irritated he gets. Whoever wakes him up loses, and the winners are determined by those that pet him the most. There is no strategy to this one. You can barely gauge when Wiggler is gonna wake up, and it's a bit startling when he's woken too. I'd hate being a little kid playing this. I'd have nightmares from this minigame. 77. Suit Yourselves. Have you ever played card matching? Well, that's what we got here, except you know exactly where the cards are instead of guessing and memorizing their placement. Even when the cards spin, it's stupidly easy to remember where the cards end up. My biggest issue is just how slow the minigame plays out. It feels like an eternity before it ends. 76. Nutcases. Not all the Rumble minigames are bad, but this one is just mediocre at best. You and a partner have to grab boxes and figure out which ones have the most nuts in them. It's a cool idea, but in execution, it's boring to play, and it's a bit annoying when you feel a lot of Rumble in a box, only for it to have like 3 nuts. 75. Lost in the Shuffle. It's confirmed that the inside of Toad is just a smaller Toad, and that Toad has a Toad inside of him. Insane lore aside, you just have to watch for which Toad has the most mini Toads. It's pretty bare bones, even for Mario Party standards. 74. Maths of Glory. This minigame is aesthetically pleasing to feast your eyes on. The puzzle pieces look so real and kind of tasty. But don't get too excited. You just hit a dice block and that number adds up for the amount of cannon shots you get at a puzzle castle. That's it. You're just hitting the dice block and hoping for the best. 73. Lit Potato. Imagine Hot Bob-omb from Mario Party 1, but it chugged that new energy drink E10. The pressure is really on since there's multiple Bob-ombs and way more people in the circle. The nerves get really unsettling by the end, and it almost gets unfair if players on the other team are next to each other. 72. Senseless Census. Do you like counting? Well, you'll have a grand old time with this one. You're on a train, and all you have to do is count the toads. It sounds simple, but a lot of the butt boys get up and out of their chairs and even run around, making it hard to keep track. I will admit that it's adorable seeing the toads play Perfect Fit from their own Switch. I love that subtle fourth wall breaking, but that's all you really do. Just count the toads. 71. Pull It Together. It's tug of war, but with more players. I'm not sure if my team just sucks or if my Joy-Con is broken, but I feel like I have very little control of winning or losing. I can mash like a mother and I don't feel like I'm being rewarded for my work here. And it's just not as interesting as having a man-eating plant right in the middle. 70. It's the pits. Well, maybe you'll go down the pits. A red panel rotates around the circle for a few rounds, and whenever it stops, the floor drops, killing everyone underneath it. It's pretty humorous watching a lot of characters fall at once, but otherwise this one is a bit forgettable. There is some strategy to planning out where to stand and anticipating the red panels, but that's about it. 69. Barreling along. Roll on a barrel and get to the end the fastest. You do this by tilting your Joy-Cons, which is surprisingly fun. You have to avoid the grass as much as you can since it'll slow you down, and there's speed boost around the end. This one is okay, but the motion controls don't always seem 100% responsive. And I'm not a motion control hater, that's just how it is. Colliding with enemies also means game over. You lose so much speed that it's impossible to catch up. 68. Trike harder. So you're supposed to waggle the Joy-Con from side to side, but also rotate it? I have no idea what motion this is supposed to be. I just shake like crazy and hope for the best. This one kind of cracks me up when big characters like Donkey Kong are cycling on these teeny tiny tricycles. It's a decent enough minigame, albeit a little too short. It feels like it's over before it's really begun. 67. Metal detectors. Although you don't really have metal detecting gear on, your Joy-Con rumbles when you're near a pile of coins. You'll simply dig when the rumble is there and collect them. It's a decent enough minigame, although it can feel unlucky if the dig spots surrounding you were sniped. 66. Look sharp. It's like science class where you zoom in on bugs or fossils, but instead real people. The technology in the Joy-Con is really immersive for this minigame, as you'll tilt to get the sharpest image possible before anyone else. It's really basic for what it is, yet the concept is only somewhat enjoyable. 65. Clearing the table. So there's a handful of rhythm minigames in Super Mario Party, and this one is my least favorite. They all kind of function the same, but feel different if you catch my drift. You simply pull the tablecloth to the beat, and maybe I'm just bad at this, but I found it really hard to time, and it didn't really feel as satisfying as it should. 64. Rumble fishing. Sitting in Lekatu's cloud, you have to find the most powerful rumble and pull away at a dragon eel. The person that finds the longest eel wins the minigame. This is another one that feels kind of cheap, especially if someone finds the winner right away, but at the same time, it can be hard to tell since the rumbles all feel somewhat similar, so there's an element of chance and strategy. 63. Looking for love. I mean, are we really? This seems like the wrong way of doing so. You just have to find the heart and click towards it before anyone else. I like that they switched it up a little with the different colors and suits, but that's all it really has going for it. 62. Baton and On. All I can think of is that marching game in Wii Fit Plus, which I know sounds really weird, but it's actually very similar to that game, except you're just waving the Joy-Con to the beat with no feet movement required. I don't mind this, but my Joy-Con movements don't always feel accurate. Many of these motion control minigames work perfectly fine, but this one feels a touch janky. 61. Pep Rally. This just makes me want a Mario American football game. We still haven't gotten one yet, surprisingly. You just flip the card to the music, which is a bit satisfying doing this with everyone else, although it's a bit strange that everyone is a toad besides us. 60. Time to Shine. Yet another rhythm game. This time we're playing Just Dance, Mario Edition. Just follow Waluigi's dance moves and you'll get a perfect score. Just the fact that it is Waluigi coordinating our dances makes this better than some of the other rhythm games. 59. Sort of Fun. Not only is this a fantastic pun, but the title perfectly describes this minigame. It is indeed sort of fun. You organize these different balls into the barrels and that's all. It's amusing how excited the characters get when they place the ball in the right spot. They're just like, ooh, I did that, woo! 58. Lightning Round. You get the coins, and the Sumo Bros summons electric balls to try to zap them out of you. This one is good if you really need coins for the main game, but standalone, there's very little substance. It's really easy avoiding electricity. You're not going to have any struggles whatsoever. 57. Fiddler on the Hoof. You ride a horse and have to move your Joy-Con when you're in the pink circle. This is yet another rhythm game that's fun enough for what it is. I do like that you pull the Joy-Con back. It simulates controlling a horse in real life without the hippity-hoppity. 56. Hammer and Sick'em. This one is kind of weird. You team up and try to pop the other team's balloons with a hammer. Why doesn't every player have a balloon? I get the amount of players can change, but it just looks strange, I guess. And this minigame usually ends in like 5 seconds, if that. 55. Timing is money. I haven't heard a more true statement. Timing is everything when it comes to making money. And that applies with this minigame too. You'll ground pound the switch and get 1 to 5 coins, or a bob-omb where you'll lose coins. I like this one because you have to put effort in to consistently get a lot of coins. It's not as easy as it looks. 54. Strike It Rich. Yet another rhythm game. This time you auto-run and hit question mark blocks to the beat. This is one of the better rhythm games just because it's a bit more dynamic and feels more akin to a normal minigame. The background has a nice dreamy feel to it as well. 53. Heir to a Fortune. Perplexed is how I describe this one. We're on a bunch of clouds, and in order to get coins, we have to choose a direction to move that doesn't collide with another player. So do you go for the jackpot every time and risk others doing it, or do you go for small amounts only? It's a massive mind game, and if it were more stimulating, it'd make for a great minigame. 52. Juice Box. This is a fairly underrated puzzle minigame. You have to find the pair of matching fruit, but you can only link up one half of it. This requires you and your partner to react fast. Sometimes the picture will psych you out where one side of fruit matches up but the other doesn't. It's fairly fun. In fact, we've officially entered fun minigame territory. 51. Get over it. Fine, I will get over it. Its name is Growl, by the way. Come on, Nintendo, credit the man for his hard work at making us jump high in the air. Hello? This reminds me of Hot Rope Jump, but you have to jump at different times and it's more interesting. The changing speeds and directions makes this one pretty decent. 50. Penguin Pushers. Yep, you push all the penguins through this door as fast as possible. This reminds me of Pushy Penguins from Mario Party 5, but not nearly as fun. The penguins don't like to cooperate, so you have to actually strategize to get them all out. 49. Dart Gallery. Imagine Monkey Ball, but 3 randos throw darts at you and you lose if you get hit 3 times. This one is extremely difficult for a person in the ball, but fear not, as the attacking players only have 5 darts to throw. So with some careful manipulation, you can bypass the darts, but again, it's not easy to pull off. 48. Drop Quiz. A bunch of Mario characters display on a monitor. Some of them will hold fruit and others won't. One player picks a question for the rivals, and others have to answer correctly. While I don't find this game that fun, I have to appreciate the difficulty it presents. It challenges your memory. It makes you guess what you need to pay attention to. 47. Smash and Crab. Beak Crab wants to smush poor player with a beak hammer. This is an interesting one as it's completely reliant on proper teamwork from the 3 players. If they aren't actively working together, it's fairly easy to avoid the hammer slams. 46. Drop Shot. Why these 3 players can't just jump off the girders is beyond me. But basically, the one player tries to hit them with some bombs. And it's not as easy as you'd think, since the bombs come through on a conveyor belt and you have to time out your attacks with a tennis racket. This whole scenario is so much more intricate than it needs to be, but it does make for a good minigame. 45. Off the Chain. The Roman Colosseum brought to the Mario world. One player rides a Chain Chomp and tries to take out the other 3 players. I really like that Chain Chomp does not control smoothly. In fact, he's kind of hard to use. You have to really practice to get good with controlling him, since the other characters can move fairly brisky. It feels more chaotic in nature. 44. Rhythm and Bruise. Something about this rhythm game is more enjoyable than the other ones. I think it's just better paced and feels more action-packed, I guess? It's hard to describe, but I really get a kick out of this one. The music is pretty decent too. 43. Take a Stab. I just really like the song in Take a Stab. It sounds nice and it feels great stabbing through the fruits. It fulfills a strange childhood dream, since doing this in real life isn't nearly as seamless. And the Galoombas are just vibing with us. They're actually the best. I mean, look at them. Come on. Come on. 42. Go with the flow. So you'll pop a bunch of balloons using a bigger balloon, and you control a fan to push him towards these balloons. It is a really weird idea, but strangely intriguing. I like ramming into a bunch of balloons at once. Go with the flow is on the slow side, but fun nonetheless. 41. Minor Setbacks. Oh snap, we found some diamonds in Minecraft. Time to take them to safety. You just kind of walk through the cave and avoid the piranha plants as fast as you can. I like the simplicity and the fact that everyone has to work together on moving around. 40. Half the Battle. As a team, you have to collect half a sun shard and merge it with the other side. There's definitely some strategy wrapped in here, in terms of choosing to grab multiple shards at once and trying to snipe shards away from your rival. 39. Cruisin' for Bruisin'. The Bruisers are angy for some reason, and they chase you through this endless tunnel. This tunnel has many forks in the road. One path will slow you down while the other is clear. It's kind of a luck-based minigame, but at the same time, you can still win even if you take the bad paths. It all comes down to how speedy you move. 38. Wiped Out. Everyone says they hate cleaning, but there's something very cathartic about the process. You're ridding of a mess, and Wiped Out is basically a window washing simulator with music. You have to be really snappy with your wipes, and that's what makes it one of the best rhythm games. 37. Precision gardening. Button mashers have been a staple in Mario Party, and this is the equivalent but with motion controls. You shake the Joy-Con to release water and reach the flower before anyone else does. I just love going at it with all my strength and might. All of this to water my precious plant. 36. Gridiron Gauntlet. The Charge and Chucks are doing some agility training for the next football season, and we're stuck in the middle for some reason. Just don't get tackled 3 times, that's the main premise. It's a fast-paced action game. You need quick reflexes at times to avoid these fellas. 35. Rowboat Uprising. Row your boat violently down the stream in order to win. You'll move by shaking your Joy-Con, but you can only move one of the sides. This is another minigame that really benefits to have teammates that are working with you, or you don't stand much of a chance of winning. 34. Social Climbers. Another simple yet enjoyable minigame. You just have to climb a pole as quickly as possible. This is done by moving the Joy-Con while holding R. You can do this in small or big strokes, which is cool. It's another minigame that feels really gratifying to play. 33. Net Worth. I'm typically not a fan of any sort of fishing games because they're usually drab, but this one is pretty awesome. You pull up on the net and catch a bunch of Cheep. The motion is just clean and fast, and it's fun trying to time out when to get the biggest grab as well as nab the rare golden Cheeps. 32. Making Faces. Having this be a 2-player minigame is pretty smart and a neat take on this style of minigame. You have to add Mario's face with a crane, but you can only move up and down or left and right. Not only is that difficult to do perfectly, but you have to memorize exactly what the face looks like. 31. Fireplace Race. The room is pretty dark. Good thing there's like 30 candles nearby to light it up better. This minigame is pretty cool, and they even add a bit of depth with swoopers that can catch you, slowing down your team's time. I do have to admit though, all those candles seem like a big fire hazard. Just giving you a warning, okay? 30. Pie Hard. I've never been pied in the face. It probably never will because that just doesn't sound pleasant. You just have to throw pies at your rivals and hit them the most times. You can pick up 2 pies at once, which is cool since that's 2 attempts at getting hits, but it's also slower than getting 1 at a time. 29. Stake Your Claim. All you do is try to select the biggest space. This shouldn't be that enjoyable, but it is because only one person can select a space. So that means you're not only in a rush, but you have to find and guess what the biggest space is. It's simply wonderful, making a right guess and the game counts out the squares showing your victory. 28. What a Racket. The most insane version of tennis I've ever played. One person has a massive racket while the other 3 have normal rackets. You rally bombs back and forth and score points when a bomb explodes on a player's side. This is another 1v3 that's balanced extremely well. Both sides have advantages and disadvantages. 27. Home on the Ring. Take your trusty boomerang and thwack away at the pokies. You get more points by smacking the head off. You've got a lot to think about with timing your boomerangs and planning out which pokies are worth hitting and which aren't. 26. Just for Kicks. It's a legal requirement at this point for Mario Party to have some sort of soccer-themed minigame. This one is a bit more in-depth since you actually run around the field trying to score points until the goal. The only real difference is there's no goalkeepers, so that makes the game a bit faster paced, which I very much appreciate. 25. Train in Pain. Imagine Monkey Fight, but you're in a stiff car. The stiffness actually adds a lot to this minigame since the punches feel more direct and concrete. You can't just wail them out whenever, you need to have a plan of attack. 24. Block and Load. You can't go wrong with shooting a cannon and knocking over a bunch of blocks. Look, I'm a 9-year-old deep down. This is still entertaining to me. I don't think it'll ever get old. The physics feel pretty realistic too. You can sense the weight of all the blocks. 23. Follow the Money. That sure is the way of life, huh? I really enjoyed this coin minigame, simply because of the full range of movement. It's so basic and down to earth. I love stuff like this in Mario Party minigames. The auto-scrolling strangely adds to the flair that it already has. 22. All-Star Swingers. By far the best rhythm minigame. It's a typical baseball one, but the music is extremely catchy. Swinging the Joy-Con feels really nice, and you get a great sense of content hitting the ball at just the right time. 21. Toe the Line. Your enjoyment of Toe the Line comes down to if you have a good partner or not. It's incredibly cool putting together the shapes, and it feels so rewarding teaming up with someone at the same time. 20. Isthmus Be the Way. Ah yes, more walking minigames. You already know I adore these. This one is even better because it's a sort of a relay where you pass a firework from one character to the other, and the paths take more effort to cross, as you can see by these narrow roads. 19. Soak or Croak. Well, that title is a little overdramatic. It's just some bros having a water gun fight, jeez. The objective is to shoot water pellets so hard that you knock everyone off the pedestal. I love that you have to refill your water gun manually by shaking if you miss too many shots. It adds this element of eustress and even realism to what real water gun fights are like. 18. Tall Order. More than anything, this minigame just makes me hungry. The goal is to make the tallest ice sculpture by shaving ice while you're near the pile. It requires a lot of good timing and is even better with a partner, but man, it just looks so good. I just want to eat it so bad. 17. Can't take pancake. I sure can take the pancake. The more you take, the more points you get. The ones with stars are worth more because they're extra special. This kind of reminds me of Mahjong, but cooler. It never gets old waiting to grab a pancake just so you can snipe one of the star ones. It's endless fun. 16. Snack Attack. I'm not sure why the cups are comically large, but the idea is to catch popcorn and avoid the boulders. Sorry, Nathaniel, you don't want these ones. It's a really good 4-player minigame. You can see the popcorn coming so you can try to predict where it'll show up and where your opponents will be. 15. Perfect Fit. One of the best uses for Joy-Cons I've seen yet. You and a partner take some shapes and have to match them together to make a perfect cube. It'll require you to move your Joy-Con in all sorts of directions, and it's oddly satisfying making a match within a couple seconds. This kind of feels like one of those fun balance games from Wii Fit. 14. Candy Shakedown. And here is another great use of the Joy-Cons. All you have to do is shake the candy out of the jar. It's not as easy as it sounds though, since you genuinely have to pay attention to the size of the candies and figure out which ones are going to fit through better. Shaking the jar like a madman isn't guaranteed to work. It takes actual effort to do this quickly. 13. Feeding Frenzy. I totally understand why some people wouldn't place this minigame nearly as high as I am, but they really nail the motion controls. I never have issues with aiming at the higher and lower mouths. The throw mechanic is clean and swift. You can get as many balls as you want for as fast as your own output can be. 12. Sizzling Steaks. My god, this is the only time I've played a game that actually makes my mouth water. Just look at how real and juicy that steak looks. You flip the steak by lifting the pan with a Joy-Con, and the physics are absolutely perfect. It's a really basic idea, but you can't go wrong with how delicious the steak looks. 11. Fetch Quest. Mario Party minigames truly shine when you get to fully run around and collect things. Fetch Quest has everyone team together to collect 9 gems as quickly as you can. You have to hit some buttons to get to secret areas, and there's a lot of ways to make this process go smoothly. 10. Slap-a-Razzi. The creativity really shines with this one. The Koopa Troopa is trying to get everyone's photo, but the goal is to get the most points by keeping the main portion of the frame. You can literally kick your rivals away. It's hilarious and can even be captured on camera. It's probably the funniest minigame of them all. You can't go wrong with this one. 9. Sign, Steal, Deliver. Who would have thought we'd be using a drone in a Mario Party minigame? The idea is to collect more packages than the other team. The solo player has a fast-moving drone that can carry 1 package at a time, while the team has to run upstairs. But there's 3 of them and they can carry 2 packages at once if they're lucky. I am shocked at how balanced and fun this minigame is on both sides. It's extremely replayable and a great time. 8. Fruit Forecast. I feel like some people hate minigames like Fruit Forecast, but honestly, there's just such a sheer joy of filling your basket with as much fruit as possible. You have to avoid the spikes for some extra challenge, and man, I have this stupid grin when I'm playing this one. I think it has to do with that nice sparkle and the sound effect when a fruit lands in your basket. It just feels good. 7. Dash and Dine. Think Overcooked, but slightly watered down. And that's not a bad thing. Dash and Dine is still a grand old time. Toad calls for orders of food, and you and a partner have to deliver the right food items. There's no chopping or cooking anything, but you've got Red Toad as an obstacle to keep things exciting. 6. Spearmongers. Ah yes, I too collect spherical magnets for fun. I'm not going to tell you why, but here the goal is to get the most marbles in your goal. You lower your magnet and attract as many to you as you can, but the challenge comes into play when other players can take balls away from you. So there's actually a layer of depth in terms of collecting balls and stealing from others. 5. Bopping Spree. We got a certified bop. It's another 1v3 where you have to punch the glowing targets as quickly as possible. What I like about Bopping Spree is how fast-paced it is. As soon as you hit a glowing target, the next one lights up ready for you to take action. It's always a close call between the 1 and 3 player, which makes it even better. 4. Fuzzy Flight School. I don't know why, but I actually put this minigame on a top 10 worst Super Mario Party minigames list way back in 2018. I'm not sure what I was thinking, because this one is incredibly fun. You move around in a plane and have to avoid the fuzzies. It's pretty thrilling, and the motion controls really enhance the experience. 3. Bumper Brawl. Bumper Balls is an all-time classic, and Super Mario Party managed to make a proper successor. There's more balls flying around, and you can take a risk by charging up for a powerful boost. Hit a player and knock them right off, or miss and leave yourself vulnerable or even fall off yourself. 2. Trip Navigator. The center is the objective, but to get there, you have to avoid as many bananas as possible. You can feel the thrill of navigating your path and finding the clearest way to go. You'll trip on a banana at some point, it's guaranteed, but the whole idea is to trip up as little times as possible. 1. Dust Buddies. I did just put a minigame where you vacuum as the number 1 pick. It's one of those rare 1v3 minigames where the fairness balance is actually spot on. There's just something really gratifying about cleaning up the floor. It just feels really nice. Whoa, Mario Party dice block. Nice. So that's exactly what you got to do if you enjoyed today's video. With all that said and done, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a great day, and I'll speak with you all soon.